Hello. Probably gonna stitch some short ones together. I was putting the steering column in. Didn't get down today to get my other pieces, but this was a new intermediate link, and I put the steering column in. So I'm kind of working on, I wish that thing would focus better. Whatever, getting that under there. That's not a big deal. Follow the instructions, these, 25 foot-pounds or whatever. Not a big deal. You can find that information anywhere. One thing I was going to point out, that was a new rack. And at the bottom of your rack, you've got this oval shape. That goes in. This is the old one. That goes in there, and then a square-headed bolt holds it in place. It doesn't look like there's a flat spot. And on the aftermarket, it'll go either way. But you can tell it's got a little notch on it right there. That was probably, if the thing was in tolerance, it would have probably been meant to be tight. But when I put that on, and I had it all the way on there, it was sloppy. I'm like, that can't be right. So I went out and got my junk one, and it definitely will only go one way. It's not really a flat, but there's like a little push area right there. And on the steering column, you can see it's only on one side. So for whatever reason, you can line that up, or you should line it up. I didn't find anything in the book. All that it says is, because it's a 79 supplement, 78 is splined, 79 goes to this oval shape, and there's nothing in the book to say anything about it. But if it was made tight enough tolerance to only go one way, you're going to figure that out. Problem is, anyway, that one was sloppy. I went out and found my old one, and that's how I found out this one, you almost have to tap on a little bit to make it squeeze. It would be a rattle. It probably had a 30 seconds, and it would get under there and move back and forth. So all I did was pull it back apart, put a bolt through it while it was not on the shaft, and then just put a wrench on one side and torque it down on the other, put an impact on it, kind of squeeze that a little, and squeezing that in also made it taller. And then I kind of had to tap it on. You can tell where I was tapping right here, but now that's the whole column. It would move a 32nd of an inch. Anyway, point of this was, I've never noticed that before. I've put these things in before, never had an issue. Apparently what we're buying now is less than ideal. So just keep that in mind. Check it before you put it on. And it'll save you having to mess with it. Because if I had gotten it too tight, which I'm almost nervous I did, I thought, hell, how am I going to have to spread it now? Well, you figured it out. But it was just tight enough I could just tap it on, and it was fine. So anyway, that's where we're at with that. I'm probably going to work on, I don't know. You know how it goes around here. I'm going to look at the first thing I find, and we'll start from there. So we'll see where I end up at. Bye. Back again. Today, I put the starter on. It was a PowerMaster aftermarket. Ain't even gonna show you anything there. 2 bolts holds the starter on, pretty simple. The only thing that I had to do was when you put it on, you want to check that your teeth are clearance right, and they call it the pinion on the starter. And they send you all the instructions with one of these things, and where that goes into the flywheel, they want you to only engage about half the flywheel, and then you got to have so much space between the teeth and the flywheel. And all I did there was just took up a little garden battery I got, bolted in, hit just the ignition. The big battery cable's not hooked up. Well, I didn't hit the ignition. I just touched on the ignition part of the solenoid. And that would jump out. When it did, I was getting almost the full tooth contact going all the way across here. So I pulled this piece off. They actually supplied a little spacer. I put it on there, and now I'm back down to just a little, looks like half, a little more. I guess that's just so it don't hang up. And then while it was engaged, I could slip. I didn't have a paper clip, but that seemed to be the same size. So I just bent it as an L, slipped it under there. Plenty of clearance. As soon as you rotate the flywheel, it wants to disengage. And I'm about to run out of battery power, so I want to make this quick. Started looking at the, this is the third one master I finally got. And I just went ahead and painted it, epoxied it black. Didn't want to mess with it. Bench bled it. Sometimes I don't do that, but this one I wanted to see because this was like an old stock one. And I just routed plastic over here. Pumped this. It worked fine. But since I could not tell if any of these O-rings were leaking, I went ahead and just tightened these up. That's why they're there, just so nothing will leak out of here. It's full of fluid, and I'll let it set overnight and see if anything leaks past this area back here. If it does, I may have to get another freaking master. So anyway, that's it. That's about all I got done on the car. And I'll come back and look at that in the morning. If that's fine, then I'll start hooking up the master and booster and that stuff. Okay. Booster's in, master's in, brake lines are in. Here's a pro tip for you. Before you put fluid in the master cylinder, make sure you tightened all your fittings. Duh. I didn't, and obviously it leaked in the floor. So I ran around real quick, tightened them up. Those were the crush washers and things. This kit, what I ended up doing was putting an aftermarket pro valve on, and I could have either mounted it this way like it is, which would have been original positioning, or they got a bracket that comes out here. I had these pre-bent lines. I could have went either way, so I figured if it's hidden, it'll probably look closer to original stuff, and that's why I went ahead and painted it black too. So all I'm doing now was just set some towels under here, let it just set overnight. If it looks like it's gonna leak or do anything, then that'll show up. These things are a bear sometimes. You gotta loosen them, turn them, loosen them, especially with stainless. That's something I've learned a long time ago, was you had to tighten them down, loosen them, tighten them again, because the stainless was a little harder. But that's that. So the brakes, hopefully this will work. It's a new rebuilt one. We'll see how that goes. I think I showed you I got the starter in. And now I think I'm going to do some wiring. The only thing I got to do on the engine is drop the carburetor on it and it'll go. So since I got the starter, I want to start running some lines down through there. And again, it's winter, so I can't do any of the paint work I want to do on the fenders and things because they're ready to paint. So I'll just go ahead and do this stuff. And I will use the original lines. I'll just go in, clean everything, and it'll literally take me a couple days because I will go in and pull every fuse, sand everything, clean that up. I'll go in and scrape every end. I'll try to get some paper in there, sandpaper if I can, and clean up all the fittings or the connectors. And then I this stuff's nothing wrong with it. It's just gunky. And there's no big corrosion issues at the ends, so I'll use it. But you gotta pull all the lights out, change all that kind of stuff. That's pretty much it. Wiring's not daunting if you, I like that word, daunting. If you're not familiar with it, when you take it apart, just label it. I mean, you can tell where everything goes, lays right back into place. Some of the things you don't have to worry about too much. Do it, might as well, but like all this alternators, well, that's probably temperature sender there. These, they only go in one way. Same thing on the front. Once you come out of the fuse box, and this will just get wadded up on there because this is all just lights for the front of the car. And one thing that a lot of guys miss, and they have issues, if you'll look on these lines, there's a ground, and that, I can tell you right now, that is up by the radiator, and if you jump over to the other side, there should be another one, because they ground it. I think there was 2 grounds, one on either side. But that's what'll make your lights do wonky things, be on, dim all the time, that sort of thing. Put lots of grounds. One other thing I ran across, on the starter, it said, make sure you clean both metal contact spots, blah, blah, blah. But it says, be aware the bolt is not a suitable ground. Well, where the hell are you going to ground it? I mean, there's nothing. I'm literally going to call them tomorrow and ask them, where do you want me to ground it? I think that's more of they want to cover their ass during warranty or something. But they put it right there in the directions. And there is not a place for a ground. I guess you could put an eyelet and a big ground strap right on one of the starter bolts maybe. But I don't think I need to do that. So, I mean, they work forever without it, so we'll see how that works. But I'll see what they say. I'll let you know. But that's it. I am just going to work on wiring. That'll be a few days worth of stuff. And I do, as soon as I get the big battery cable in there, I want to put a battery on and just walk through the motion of hitting the ignition, letting the motor turn over, because this motor ain't turned over in about 2 months. Ain't going to hurt anything. It's a whole roller set up and everything. I'd be fine, but you like to just see things move every once in a while. That's it. I will figure out what to do next after wiring. Hell, I may be coming to a little pause because, well, I can pull all the doors apart and do all that stuff. But that's it. Not really anything spectacular going on. It's just going to be a lot of cleaning. I wish I could just throw it all in a sandblast cabinet and be done, but can't do that. Just got to be patient, take time. And I will talk to you guys later. Hey, did all y'all's taxes go up as much as mine did? I got my frickin' property tax. It went up 40% here in Ohio. I mean, I'm retired. I got a frickin' pension check coming in. And suddenly you get 40% more, which, you know, it was like, I don't know, $1,600. Well, it's actually more than that. It was $1,680, I think. It's literally $2,400 for 6 months. Hell, that's one of my fucking pension checks. Who can afford to even do anything? It's when you got to build cars and sell them, I guess. Love to keep it. Maybe we'll keep it for a while, but that's what I've always done. That's the part-time gig. Been doing that for 30, 40 years. Find cars, fix them up. And sure, I mean, honestly, it sure beats working for somebody else, but where y'all guys live at? Hell, it may be time to leave Ohio. I'm originally from Arkansas, spent some time down in Texas, and I think I may just want to get away. The house is too big, raised 4 girls. Rooms I ain't been in years since they left. So, I don't know. If I can find some cheaper property and I don't need a lot, I just going to downsize. But went to Asheville, Tennessee, didn't like it. Ain't going South Carolina, Florida, none of that stuff. Love to be by some water somewhere because I got a lake 5 minutes from me here. Got a boat so we can fish. I got my shop. I built the shop the way I wanted it. But if I'm not going to build a lot of cars anymore, I don't know. It doesn't seem like I can find anything to work on. We'll just probably have to see what this year holds. But hey, if anybody's got paradise, holler at me. Talk to you later. Quick video before I go any further. Just making sure all the ends and stuff are good on my wiring harness. And I found this. Comes from the directional flasher. And what it had done, apparently, it's just overheated. But it comes from positive, hot, to here. It splits off, goes back in the wiring harness, comes over here to the backup light switch. It's melted all along that backup light switch. And normally everybody's going to be like, oh, you know, need a new harness. It was one wire. So I've just pulled it back a little bit. And what obviously happened is that switch probably got mangled, shorted to ground, did something. And because it's even cut. So at one point they figured out what it was and just cut it because there's no connector on it. And tracing that back, it's obviously pulled current past here. So anyway, not a big deal. I'll just get some wire, resolder a piece in there, reconnect this, and we'll go from there. And like I said, a lot of guys think it's scary to get into wiring, but it's simply, if you'll think of just like that, it's one wire. It comes from a hot, it goes to one place and it goes to another. It just does that 100 times and they're colored. So if you can trace one, you can trace the other. And pretty easy stuff. But I'm just kind of showing you. You can do it. It's easy. If you're interested, I'll do some, because I got to do some more repairs on this thing. And if something pops up, I'll put it on a video. But that's it. Bye.